1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Banjo land, Mike Hedding here, coming to you today with an intermediate level lesson for Will the Circle Be Unbroken, the classic gospel song. I did a beginner version of this song a long time ago, probably back in maybe 2015. I think it was the third or fourth lesson I ever did, and now I think I have over 300 lessons, so it was a while ago. So I wanted to do an updated intermediate level lesson for this song that would talk about playing the melody in different octaves. So we're going to start playing the melody down low and then move it up an octave for the second solo. This is a really cool technique I got from mandolin master and super cool guy Sam Bush. He did this a lot in his solos where he'd play the beginning of his solo down the neck, you know, in a lower register, and then for the second part of his solo he would kick it up another octave, really just take it up into high gear. And I always really loved that about his playing, and I wanted to do that in a banjo solo. It's also really good, really good way to study the fretboard. So if you can play the melody down low, if you can play it up high, you're just going to connect all those points in your mind, and you'll be able to play this melody wherever you want. So I'm going to move through the note for note breakdown a little bit faster because it's an intermediate level lesson, but I'm also going to give you some tips on how I create little variations or little things you can do to just make this song your own. And we'll also break down some intermediate level backup for this song. And if you're watching the preview of this lesson, you can head over to my website, MikeHeddingMusic.com, and grab the full lesson. You'll get access to watch all the videos, and you can download the tabs and the practice tracks. All right, here's the intermediate level solo for Will the Circle Be Unbroken in the key of G. All right, let's start breaking down this intermediate lesson to Will the Circle Be Unbroken in the key of G. So what I want to focus on with this lesson is kind of the idea of playing the melody in different octaves. And this is a really cool technique. I kind of got this technique from the great mandolin player and super cool guy Sam Bush. A lot of times he would do this. Maybe he would play the first half of his solo down the neck and then kind of pop up for the second half of the solo, kick the solo up another octave, and play that melody up an octave. And it has a really cool effect. One, it can get you kind of above all the other instruments. You know, if you're playing with a bunch of guitars, you know, that are all kind of playing in the lower register, it's a great way to kind of pop up or rise above the rest of the instruments. It's also just a great way to learn the fretboard. So if you can play a melody down low and then you know how to play that melody up high or up the neck, just going to give you a lot more freedom to fool around with your solos and create interesting ideas. All right, so let's start breaking down the first 9 measures of this song. Let me play the first 9 measures and then we'll break it down. Here we go. Do that again real slow. That's into the beginning of measure 10. And remember, just because it's an intermediate level solo doesn't mean you have to, you know, put in a ton of fancy licks or go way away from the melody. You can still play a strong melodic solo even if it's in Scruggs style or even if it's an intermediate level solo. That's kind of what we're going to do with this lesson. We're not going to get super far away with the melody with a lot of fancy licks. We're just going to kind of play the melody, make a couple little timing and more right-hand adjustments to just make it a little bit more challenging. So we're going to start with this pickup in measure 1, and this is one that I got from, I think, J.D. Crowe, but I really like this one. So you're going to pinch strings 3, 5, and 1 on beat 1, and then on beats 3 and 4, you're going to play open, 2nd fret on the 4th string. And we're just pinching up into the 3rd and 1st string in measure 2. So you have... So, And you could also take that out, that initial pinch, if you didn't like that. But it's just that kind of, it's like a cool little pop. That's what we're doing there, not too hard. And then for measure 2, we're going to do a big initial pinch. So really nail that first downbeat of measure 2. And then we're going to do a 2-5 slide on the 4th string. You've probably done this a bunch. And then up and do 5-3-1. That's just a great way to, again, remember the melody is. So we're just filling that up with a roll. Obviously, you've probably done this before. Into measure 3, we're going to keep rolling forward, 5-3-1, and then 5th string, and then pinch strings 2 and 1, and then walk down, and then open 3rd string, do thumb, index, and then slide. We're going to be using a lot of that slide, kind of 2-5 slide idea in this lesson. So we have. I just really wanted to make sure we got enough of the melody to start. Another thing you can think about with your solos is if you state a lot of the melody at the beginning, I find it gives you more kind of free reign to explore later on in the solo. Whereas if you just come out right out of the gate and kind of play something really far away from the melody, I don't find it works quite as well. What I like to do is really clearly state the melody at the beginning, and it kind of like lays a nice foundation that you can then build on. And then create, you can go further away from the melody later in the solo because you've clearly stated the melody at the beginning. So that's what we're doing there. One other little thing you could do, if you wanted just a little variation on some of those 2-5 slides, instead of doing a full forward roll, the other thing you could try is doing the slide without the roll. So instead of doing thumb middle, just play your thumb, because it adds a cool syncopation. Then you have. Highlights that slide too, so you have versus. You could also do a 3-5 slide if you want a little bluesier. I wouldn't probably do that, but if you're feeling like a bluesy Will the Circle Be Unbroken, you could do that as well. So that's what I'm doing there. That'd be another little variation you could do. Or just skipping that index finger after the 2-5 slide helps bring out the slide. You could also do it in measure 4. And then measure 5, 2-4 slide with the forward reverse roll on the 3rd string. You've probably done that lick a bunch, classic lick. Use this pull off to pull into to land into your C chord. Go into your C, do thumb, index, 3rd string, 2nd string, and then a hammer on. It's like an alternating thumb roll, and then a 2-1 pull off on the 3rd string. So we have, and then an open 2 hammer on the 4th string, and then open 4th string. So we have. We're kind of just playing that C chord is a little variation there. If you wanted like a little variation for measure 7, you could start measure 6 the same way. And then right here go. So I did. That would just be a little variation instead of doing the forward roll. So either way would work. So we have. And then a classic fill lick. And then measure 9, we're gonna do just again a little right hand variation instead of walking back up like we did at the beginning. So measure 9 is kind of equivalent to measure 1. That's where like the second half of the verse part starts over. So what we're gonna do there is just a little variation. We're gonna hit the 3rd string, and then 5th string, pinch, 3 and 1, and then back to the 5th string, and then pinch again. And then 2nd fret. So we have I just put a little cool rhythm. So, and then pinch again. That's into measure 10. So let's play those first 9 measures into measure 10. Here we go. time real slow. And then pinch measure 10. So a couple little other things you can do, or little spots to watch out. Make sure you don't do these hammer-ons and pull-offs in measure 6 and 7. I think it's easy to rush through those and get a little bit excited. You know, especially in measure 7. I had to work on that one myself, just slowing that down. Just keep your C down the whole time. One other thing you could do is fill up measure 3 instead of going. You could fill that up with like a roll. So I just, instead of pinching strings 2 and 1, I just made that a roll, thumb, index, middle, and then did thumb, middle at the end. It'd just be a subtle, again, with these intermediate level lessons, I'd really work on creating little variations. You know, you can memorize the whole tab note for note too, that's good practice, but I'd really take some of your own artistic liberties, you know, tweak the tab a little bit. I found for myself, if I make a little variation on someone else's tab, that's going to be the part that I really remember, that little thing you made up yourself. And it doesn't have to be the most amazing idea, not saying my arrangement's the most amazing idea, but again, you have to start somewhere, and if you come up with a little variation, you're probably going to remember that little thing that you came up with. So again, you could go. That would just be, again, filling that up, filling that measure up. But also the pinches and space is nice too. So again, just play with that idea. And then, so that's just a variation you could do for measure 3.